Cool. Let's make a start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly SIG Autoscaling meeting for Monday, the 23rd of June, 2025. We've got one item on the agenda at the moment. Is someone able to take notes? Great. Thank you very much. Cool. Sweet. Dominic, AWS SDK v1 interpretation.
Yeah, hi, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of like ask about this issue. So basically the AWS SDK v2 is going end of life, or v1 is going end of life at the end of July for Go. And at least myself and Rahul have been going through updating like a bunch of our other internal services to use the new SDK, and wanted to see if like this is like still looking for someone to pick it up, and if that's something that I'd potentially be able to like take a look at doing. I wanted to ask at this meeting just because I imagine it'll be a large change to like vendor v2 package. I've been like prototyping, like getting some of this running locally on like a fork, and have some of it working, but like would need to clean it up and whatever before upstreaming. But basically wanted to check if that's like fair, or if there's like any changes or other like changes in philosophy that would be warranted for like doing v2.
I think in terms of anyone currently working on it, I not as far as I'm aware. Yeah.
The ticket looked like it's come in and out of stale a couple times. So
yeah, and yeah, I think as discovered by at least one person in there, not an easy first issue to pick up.
Yeah.
I don't think so in terms of changes in philosophy around vendoring. Not as far as I'm aware that would prevent this being picked up.
Okay. Because tentatively, the way I'd like to approach it, if possible, is to like submit a PR that first just like does the vendoring of the package with no updates, just to add it to the repo. There's also AWS has started like introducing this like Smithy Go package that they use for their like HTTP requests and stuff, that the SDK v2 relies on. So I'm not sure if it would also make sense to vendor that within the cloud provider, or if that's okay to have as like an upstream dependency. Not 100% sure. But I wanted to submit that as like a first PR, and then a second PR to actually transition over to using the new SDK, and then probably like a third to fully remove v1 from the repo, just so it's in like logical chunks. But
yeah, that feels like the most obvious one to me, rather than it being one nightmare PR.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I will be brutally honest and say that like I'll happily review it, but you know, I think given if yourself and Rahul are sort of involved, then at some point I need to move myself off the approvers on the AWS SDK and go. So I think this might be a nice like proving ground of just getting yourself and Rahul onto reviewers at least.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very happy to like take a crack at it, and I'll like share. I've done like a couple upstream contributions to the repo, but like not a ton. So the feedback is definitely like appreciated. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure there's no like serious issues or concerns with doing that. But it sounds like no.
Yeah.
So I'll take a crack at that. Thanks a bunch.
Sweet. No worries. Thanks for picking it up. Cool. Cyprian.
Hey. Hello.
Hello.
So nice to see everybody. I have a question about parallel scale up. We've been encountering some problems with scaling, obviously, and one of the proposals was to use parallel scale up. And wanted to ask, like, do you know anybody using it? How stable it is? Is there any documentation on the expected behavior, things like that? For reference, I think it was added 2 years ago by someone at Google as a feature. Google, I'm not exactly sure how much they use this, so that's why I'm asking.
I'm not aware
Okay.
of anyone.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Adam, you're the only immediate Google candidate I'm seeing to like throw in front of the question.
Do you want to find the PR and share it in chat?
Yeah, if you've got the PR, I
Think I might have it. Give me a second and I'll try to find it. Yeah, it was something that surprised me too. So that's why I was asking. Okay, 2 years ago, found it. Give me a second to.
Sure. I see it now.
Okay, so here's it in the chat. I'll add it to the document for future generations to look at it.
I think this can get convinced potentially.
Yeah, Daniel. I see Daniel's a reviewer on it and would have been probably my first port of call for asking about whether he was aware of any users. He's not in the call today, and I don't think any of the engineers sort of in his area are on the call either. This might be one that's best just sticking a pin in, and we can re-raise next week, or we can sort of flag it to Daniel on Slack.
Okay, I can try to.
Have you got any
ping
more?
him.
Yeah. Have you got any more details on sort of just the issues you're seeing? Or?
Well, I have a PR suggested for the Azure provider. We're still discussing internally. I have to discuss more with them, but the proposal was parallel scale up, and I've been around for some time and never heard of it, so wanted to be sure that there are some users using it, and we're not the first ones.
Someone has to
Anyway.
be the first.
Yes, I don't like being on the news. To be honest. Yes, Jack?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that polling this group of folks is not going to give you the information that you need, unfortunately. So just because there are no users here doesn't mean that there aren't users.
Of course, I agree with you on that. Just wanted to see if there is anyone.
Yeah, and even I would argue that your better bet to figure out your path forward is to run this in a staging environment. I'm looking at the PR and it looks like there's really only one flag, and the functionality looks fairly self-explanatory in terms of parallel versus not parallel. So what I would be focused on is, does this actually work? And that should be something that you could discover in a staging environment.
Yeah. I tried it, didn't exactly work as expected. So that it's probably my use case that's not exactly something very popular. So
What is your use case?
We're hitting errors after Azure goes. So the cloud providers scale up, goes asynchronous after requesting the VM, the autoscaling group to scale up, right? And right after that, it fails due to capacity errors in our case. But because it's asynchronous and there is no communication after that, the only way is communicated is invalidating some caches. It takes a long time for things to get noticed. And also due to the, how do you say, the way that node pools are disabled, like 1 minute, 5 minutes, and so on, it's exponential. With multiple node pools, one gets disabled, then it starts with the other, then the first one gets used again and gets disabled, and we end up waiting for, I don't know, half an hour or more to start to scale up, to actually disable for a longer time. So it's not ideal. Anyway, if you want, we can discuss more. I don't think people here are interested in this that much.
Well, that sounds like something that parallel scaling might not address. So I can appreciate why you might want to try that, but I think if you're able to replicate those symptoms, yeah, you should. It's not surprising that parallel wouldn't solve it for you. But I assume you just want to make forward progress quicker.
That's why I made a PR. But tested the PR, and the PR works fairly well because the failures come up very quickly, like before 1 minute. Usually it's 10 seconds to 45 seconds. You see errors that are not triggered initially. But yeah, it's Azure code, so Azure maintainers have to review it. Plus, it's not the same as, well, it is maybe similar to what AKS is using, but.
Yeah, cool. Feel free to reach out to myself offline, and we can see if we can find a solution.
Yeah, we can chat more separately. Cool. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. And again, nice to see you again.
All right. Thanks for bringing it up. I think it speaks to the wider challenge of like every component trying to figure out who's using functionality is never-ending battle. That was all we had on the agenda for this week. Is there anything else anyone else wants to raise? I shall take that for now. In which case, I'll give everyone 10 minutes of their day back. Thanks very much, everyone. See you next week.